My nephew mocked my daughter as the loser's kid at Thanksgiving, but my calm response sent shockwaves through the family they never saw coming. My name is Simon. I'm 34, male. I'm a plumber. Been doing it since I was 19. Worked my way up from apprentice to running my own jobs. Good money, honest work, fixing people's shit when it literally hits the fan. My parents hated it. They wanted me to go to college, get some desk job, wear a tie, join the country club. When I told them I was going into the trades, my dad didn't talk to me for 3 months. My mom told people I was finding myself, like I was backpacking through Europe instead of learning an actual skill. Then I met Heather. She was a waitress at this diner I'd stop at after jobs. Grew up in a trailer park, put herself through community college, worked doubles to pay rent. Realest person I'd ever met. We got married 2 years later at the courthouse because we didn't want to blow money on some big wedding. My family acted like I'd married a stripper. My mom literally asked Heather at our rehearsal dinner if she was pregnant. She wasn't. Stephanie, my sister, made some comment about how at least the wedding would be cheap, loud enough for everyone to hear. Heather just smiled and said, "Yep, saving money for a house, priorities." I loved her for that. My parents tolerated Heather but never actually liked her. Too common, too rough around the edges, didn't have the right pedigree. My mom would make these little comments, "Oh, Heather's working again this weekend. How dedicated," or "I saw the cutest dress at Nordstrom, but I know that's not really your budget." Passive-aggressive, designed to make my wife feel small. The worst was at Stephanie's baby shower about 8 years ago. Heather was about 6 months pregnant with Lucy. Stephanie was opening gifts, all expensive stuff from her registry, designer everything. When she got to ours, a handmade baby blanket Heather had spent weeks crocheting, Stephanie held it up and goes, "Oh, how homemade. I guess some people show love differently." Then she whispered something to her friend next to her, and they both laughed. Heather's face went red. I was about to say something, but she squeezed my hand and shook her head. Later in the car, she cried, said she felt stupid for thinking a homemade gift would be good enough. I told her Stephanie was a spoiled bitch who wouldn't know genuine if it slapped her. Heather made me promise not to cause drama. Said it wasn't worth it, that we'd just keep our distance and be civil at family stuff. I kept that promise. Brushed off every snide comment, every passive-aggressive dig, every time they treated Heather like she wasn't good enough. Because that's what you do, right? Keep the peace. Be the bigger person. Then the car accident happened, and wrecked my life with it. Some drunk asshole ran a red light. Heather died on impact. Lucy was 4. You know what my mom said at the funeral? Well, at least now you can focus on rebuilding your life, make better choices. Like Heather was a mistake I could just move on from. I didn't speak to them for 6 months after that. But eventually I caved. They're family, right? Lucy deserved grandparents. Caleb deserved a cousin. So I started showing up to holidays again, started answering calls again, started being the good son, the good brother, the guy who doesn't cause problems. And they went right back to their shit. Except now it wasn't about Heather. It was about me, about Lucy, about how I was raising her wrong, how I couldn't handle being a single dad, how I needed to get my life together. And like an idiot, I just took it, kept the peace, until Thanksgiving. Picture this. My parents' house, whole family crammed around the table doing this fake Norman Rockwell bullshit. There's my mom, Elaine, my dad, Gerald, my sister, Stephanie, and her little demon spawn, Caleb. Turkey's dry as hell because mom insists on following some ancient recipe from a church cookbook. Somebody burned the sweet potato casserole and everyone's pretending we're this happy, functional family when really we're all just counting the hours until we can leave. I'm sitting there with my daughter, Lucy. She's 7 years old. Quietest kid you've ever met. Just wants everyone to like her. Since Heather died, it's been me and her figuring out life together. And yeah, we've been living in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment on the rough side of town because that's what you can afford when you're a widowed plumber, working 6 days a week, and somehow still covering your parents' bills every month. But I'll get to that nightmare. Thing is, I knew this dinner would suck. It always does. But I kept showing up because some dumbass part of me thought maybe this year they'd see Lucy growing up without a mom and actually give a damn. Maybe they'd see me drowning and throw me a lifeline instead of tying weights to my ankles. We're halfway through dinner when my nephew Caleb, who's 9 and already got that spoiled brat energy locked down, points right at Lucy and goes, "Mom says you're the loser's kid." Dead silence for like half a second. Then everyone starts laughing. Full-on belly laughs like this kid just told the joke of the century. My mom's wiping tears from her eyes. My dad doesn't even look up from his plate. Just keeps shoveling stuffing like his granddaughter didn't just get verbally destroyed at the dinner table. Stephanie's got this satisfied smirk. She was proud of him. Like she coached him on it. Probably did, knowing her. I'm sitting there frozen, fork halfway to my mouth, trying to process what just happened. Did this little shit really just say that at Thanksgiving dinner about my daughter? The kid who spent all morning making them construction paper turkeys because she thought it would make them smile? But Caleb wasn't done. Kid kept going, really twisting the knife. Mom says your dad's a broke loser who couldn't even keep his wife alive. She says that's why Lucy's so weird. She says you probably can't even afford real food. The table got even louder. My dad finally cracked a grin. My mom was nodding along like this was perfectly normal family banter. That's when I looked at Lucy. Her face didn't really change. She's learned not to show when things hurt her. That's what happens when your family treats you like a punchline. But she squeezed my hand under the table, and right then, something in me just switched off. Like a breaker flipping, the part of me that kept trying, kept hoping these people would eventually act like family, just died. I didn't yell, didn't flip the table or throw my drink in anyone's face, though I really wanted to. I just stood up real calm, took Lucy's hand, and walked straight to the door, left the cheap bottles I'd brought sitting on the counter, $20 each, because that's what I could afford after paying their water bill. Didn't say goodbye or have a nice holiday or go to hell, just walked out. Nobody followed us. Nobody said wait or hold on, or even it was just a joke. I heard my dad say something about football being on soon, and then chairs scraping as they all went back to their perfect little Thanksgiving like we were nothing. It was getting dark, temperature dropping fast. Lucy climbed into the passenger seat, buckled up, stared out the window. About 5 minutes into the drive, she asked real quiet, "Did I do something wrong, Daddy?" That almost broke me right there. Almost pulled over and lost it completely. But I kept driving. Told her no, not even close. Told her she was perfect and they were garbage. Told her we were going to see someone who actually gave a damn about us. Someone who knew what family actually meant. See, I've got this grandma. She's 81, lives about 2 hours away in Ashbury, and she's got more fight in her than my entire family combined. After my grandpa died 10 years ago, she married this retired mechanic named Walter. Guy wears cowboy boots year-round, makes inappropriate jokes at funerals, and has a garage full of tools and a fridge full of beer. They're both a little crazy in the best way, and Lucy absolutely loves them. Every time we visit, Walter teaches Lucy weird stuff. How to change oil, how to read a level, random skills that seem small. And Grandma bakes cookies and lets her stay up late watching old westerns and tells her stories about how she didn't take crap from anyone back in the day. So, that's where we went. 2 hours in November cold, because anywhere was better than that house. Anywhere was better than watching my daughter realize her own family thought she was worthless. When we showed up unannounced around 7 p.m., Walter opened the door in flannel pajamas with a drink in one hand and a turkey sandwich in the other. He looked at my face, didn't ask questions, just yelled over his shoulder, "Honey, we got a situation." Grandma came running from the living room, barefoot on that cold tile, reading glasses hanging around her neck. She saw my expression and immediately told Walter to take Lucy to the kitchen for pie and ice cream. Then she just stood there with me in the hallway. When I finally got the words out, told her everything about dinner, what Caleb said, how everyone laughed, how my parents just sat there like humiliating me and my kid was normal family fun. She didn't say anything, just nodded real slow, her jaw getting tighter and tighter. Then she walked off to her bedroom without a word. I figured she was getting tissues, maybe some strong coffee, because this felt like a strong coffee moment. Dead wrong. Grandma came back with this thick white envelope and dropped it on the coffee table like she was dealing a winning hand. "That's yours. Open it." My hands were shaking as I tore it open. Inside was paperwork for a 3-bedroom house about 15 minutes from Lucy's school. Paid off. No mortgage, no strings. Just keys taped to the back page and a little yellow sticky note that said, "You've earned this 100 times over," in her shaky handwriting. I couldn't speak. Literally couldn't form words. Just sat there staring at the papers like they might vanish if I blinked. This was an actual house. A real house. 3 bedrooms, a garage, a yard, driveway, washer and dryer included. Grandma sat down next to me on the couch, pulled out her phone with steady hands, and said she had one more thing to handle. Then she called my mom, put it on speaker, didn't hesitate for a second. 3 rings. My mom picked up. "Hello? You're cut off, Elaine." Grandma's voice was ice cold. "You, Gerald, Stephanie, all of you. You won't get another dime from me. I know what you said to my grandson. I know what you let Caleb say to that beautiful little girl, and I know exactly how much money you've bled out of him since Heather died. That ends today, right now. Find someone else to pay your bills." Silence for maybe 5 seconds. Then Ruth, "What the heck are you talking about? Don't act the fool now. I said you're cut off. Understood?" "Wait, Ruth. There must have been a misunderstanding." Grandma hung up on her. Then she looked at me and said, "Should have done that years ago." Here's the thing people don't get about my family. They look good on paper. Nice house in a decent neighborhood. Nice cars in the driveway. My mom's always dressed perfect for church. My dad's got his poker buddies. Stephanie posts these filtered Instagram photos making her life look amazing with her perfect husband and perfect kid. But it's all smoke and mirrors. All of it. My parents burned through their retirement years ago. Some pyramid scheme. My dad got suckered into a business investment that tanked, a boat they couldn't afford and sold at a massive loss. They refinanced their house 3 times and still can't make the mortgage. They've been living off Grandma's money for years. And here's the kicker. I was the middleman. After Heather died, they came at me with this sob story about how they were struggling, how they just needed a little help until things turned around, how family helps family, right? And stupid me, grieving and barely holding it together, I believed them. Started sending money, $100 here for utilities, $200 there for their car payment. It snowballed fast. Within 6 months, I was covering half their bills every month because Grandma said she'd cut them off if they kept wasting her money, so they came to me instead. I was widowed, raising a daughter alone, working overtime and weekends to keep our heads above water, and I was still paying their bills every month, still covering their overdraft fees so they wouldn't lose face with their bank, still being their emergency fund while they took weekend trips and posted happy photos. The math was insane. I calculated it once at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. Over 2 years, I'd given them almost $40,000, 40 grand, money I could have saved for Lucy's future, money that could have got us out of that shitty apartment, gone, poured into a black hole that never once said thank you. Later that night, while I was tucking Lucy into Grandma's guest room, my dad texted me like absolutely nothing had happened. Like we hadn't just walked out, like his grandson hadn't just destroyed my daughter. Make sure you send the payment tomorrow. Water company's threatening to shut it off. Needed by 5 p.m. I stared at that text for a long time. The sheer balls on this man. Didn't ask if we got there safe. Didn't ask if Lucy was okay. Didn't apologize or acknowledge what happened. Just demanded money. I typed back, "You'll get what you deserve." Hit send. Then I sat there in the dark hallway, back against the wall, and I just laughed. Quiet at first, then harder. Walter poked his head around the corner, drink in hand, asking if I was all right. I told him I was perfect. Finally, perfect. They didn't know it yet, but this wasn't about one dinner or one text. This was about years of being used. That night, I slept better than I had in 2 years. They had no idea what was coming, but Grandma did. She knew exactly what she'd set in motion. By 9 the next morning, they were already freaking out. The first text came from Stephanie at 9:13 a.m. "Did you say something to Grandma? My car just got declined at Target." I didn't answer. Just sat there in Grandma's breakfast nook drinking coffee while Lucy built this Lego castle on the floor, Walter helping her with the towers. Fireplace going. It felt like an actual holiday for the first time in forever. Peaceful, quiet, nobody picking on anyone. By 10 a.m., Stephanie sent another text. "Seriously, what's going on? None of my cards are working." Then at 10:30, Mom's cards aren't working either. "What the hell did you do?" I just smiled. Grandma walked by, squeezed my shoulder and said, "Let them squirm." By noon, my mom was in full meltdown mode. Voicemails started piling up, her voice getting more shrill with each one. "Call me back right now. This is serious. Your father just got a call from the mortgage company." Then another 10 minutes later, "Your sister's hysterical. Caleb's private school tuition is due next week. Call me back immediately." Then, "I don't know what you did, but you need to fix this right now." The balls on these people. Turns out Grandma moved fast, real fast. She's got this lawyer. Been using him for 30 years, guy's sharp as a knife. That morning, while Walter was making bacon and Lucy was still asleep, Grandma had already been on the phone making moves. She closed the trust fund they'd been draining for years, the one Grandpa set up for family emergencies, that they treated like their personal piggy bank, the one they used to take a wellness retreat to Arizona after Stephanie's divorce, staying at some spa resort that cost $600 a night. She shut down every automatic transfer, every single one. The money that went to my dad's truck payment, the money that paid their HOA fees, the money Stephanie used for Caleb's private school, gymnastics, soccer, whatever expensive hobby he was into that week, gone. Stopped. She removed her name from every account that wasn't mine. Joint checking, savings, CDs, investment accounts, everything. If my parents' names were on it, she was off it. And the nuclear option. She sent a certified letter to Caleb's private school stating she was no longer sponsoring tuition and wouldn't be responsible for any future payments. That school cost $28,000 a year. Stephanie called me 27 times that day. 27. Watched my phone light up over and over while I played catch with Lucy in Grandma's backyard while we made sandwiches for lunch. Every call just hit decline and went back to what I was doing. When she finally gave up on calling, she switched to texts. Started reasonable, "Please answer, we need to talk about this." Then got desperate, "I don't understand what's happening, just call me." Then turned nasty, "You can't do this to us. This isn't who you are. You're better than this." And then 5 minutes later, "You're just bitter because Heather's dead and you're stuck raising Lucy alone. Don't punish us because your life sucks." That one hit different. Not gonna lie. Because yeah, my life was hard. I didn't want to be a widower at 33, didn't want to raise a daughter alone, didn't want my family to treat us like charity cases. But here's what Stephanie didn't get. I never asked them for anything, not once. I didn't ask for help with rent, didn't ask them to babysit, didn't ask for rides or meals or sympathy. I just existed, busted my ass, raised my kid, and somehow still ended up being their personal ATM. My dad tried a different approach around 3 p.m., called from my mom's phone. I answered by accident. "We need to talk about this situation." His voice was tight, angry, that tone he used when he thought he was being reasonable. "Nothing to talk about, Dad. Happy Thanksgiving. Don't give me that. Your grandmother is making a huge mistake. She's not thinking clearly, she's old, and she's being manipulated." "By who? Me? The one who's been paying your water bill for 2 years? We're family. Family helps each other." "Yeah. Where was that energy yesterday when Caleb called Lucy the loser's kid, and you sat there eating turkey like it was dinner theater?" Silence. "Then that was just kids being kids. You're being too sensitive. You've always been too sensitive." I hung up. Block the number. The final straw came that evening around 6 p.m. My dad texted from yet another number with a photo attached, a stack of bills spread across their kitchen table, water, electric, gas, mortgage, all with red final notice stamps. The message said, "Your mother is crying. Hope that makes you happy. We raised you better than this." I stared at that message for a long time, looked at those bills, looked at his words, "Raised me better than this," like I was the one bleeding him dry for years. Then I wrote back, "You've had 2 years to treat us like family. You chose not to. Now live like we never existed." Lose the number. Blocked him. That night, Grandma made pot roast. Walter opened a bottle of cider and told a story about crashing a tractor into a fence in 1978. Something about a cow and a dare that made no sense but had us all laughing. Lucy fell asleep on the couch around 8:30 with a blanket wrapped around her, and Walter's old dog curled up at her feet. I sat there in the quiet, fire crackling, Lucy breathing steady, and realized I hadn't felt this solid in years. Someone finally saw what was happening and said enough. And that was worth more than anything they could ever give me. 3 days later, I drove to the house Grandma gave me, took Lucy with me, made it a whole thing, stopped for breakfast at this diner she loves, got her pancakes and hot chocolate. Kid deserved it. Pulled up to the house and just sat there for a minute. 3 bedrooms, actual yard with a fence, 2-car garage, front porch. It looked normal. Unlocked the door with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Turned on the heat. The place was empty but clean. Grandma had hired someone to come through and make it perfect. Hardwood floors, updated kitchen with appliances that actually worked, 2 full bathrooms, basement for storage, backyard with a shed, and room for Lucy to play. I just stood there in the living room taking it all in. Sunlight coming through windows that weren't covered in grime, space, actual space to breathe, to live, to exist without feeling like the walls were closing in. Lucy ran around checking everything out, her voice echoing through the empty rooms. "Dad, my room is huge. Dad, there's a tree in the backyard. Dad, can we get a dog?" Maybe. Maybe we could get a dog. For the first time in 2 years, maybe felt possible. We spent the rest of the day measuring rooms, planning where furniture would go, talking about paint colors. Lucy wanted her room purple. We'd make it purple. This was ours. Nobody could take it. Nobody could hold it over us. Meanwhile, my family was falling apart in real time, and it was satisfying as hell to watch from a distance. Stephanie showed up at Grandma's house that same day, just pulled into the driveway unannounced. Walter answered the door, looked at her standing there with her arms crossed and said, "You got about 10 seconds to get off this property before I call the cops." Then he closed the door in her face. She left a note taped to the front door. I saw it when we got back that evening. It just said, "Please, we need to talk. This isn't fair. You're ruining Caleb's life." Grandma ripped it up without reading past the first line. Then Stephanie tried getting to me through work. Called the plumbing company I work for. Told them it was a family emergency. Tried to get my schedule, my personal number, anything. My boss is a solid dude, though. He asked me if I wanted to talk to her. I said hell no. He told her to lose the number and hung up. My parents went with maximum guilt. Had my Aunt Victoria call me, a woman I hadn't talked to in 5 years. Suddenly real concerned about family. Told me how they might lose the house, how Stephanie had to pull Caleb out of private school, how I was destroying the family, how Grandma was too old to be making these kinds of financial decisions. "Victoria, where were you when Caleb called Lucy the loser's kid?" Well, I wasn't there, but I'm sure it wasn't. That's the problem. None of you were there. None of you are ever there. But now everyone's got opinions. Delete this number. Hung up. Blocked her. Blocking people became my favorite hobby. But here's where things got interesting. About 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, mid-December, I got a call from a lawyer. Not mine. I didn't have a lawyer, theirs. Some guy named Stuart from a firm with like 6 names in the title. Said he was representing Elaine and Gerald in a matter concerning my grandmother. My mom was suing for elder abuse and financial manipulation, claiming Grandma wasn't mentally competent when she cut them off, that I'd manipulated an elderly woman into giving me property and cutting off her real family, that Grandma was showing signs of dementia, that I was taking advantage of a vulnerable senior citizen for personal gain, that the property transfer was invalid and should be reversed. I laughed so hard. Grandma's sharper than all of them combined. She goes to town meetings just to argue with the mayor about zoning laws and property taxes. She runs 2 book clubs and remembers every character in every book. She just bought a new car after researching models for 3 months and negotiating the dealer down $4,000. She does crosswords in pen. The woman's thriving. The lawyer basically said they had no real case but wanted to scare Grandma into reinstating the money. Classic intimidation tactic. Threaten legal action. Hope the old lady gets nervous and caves. Offer to drop everything if she just starts the payments again. Grandma's response when I told her, "Oh hell no, time to bury these bastards." She hired her own lawyer, guy named Klein. Been practicing elder law for 40 years. Looks like someone's grandpa but argues like he's going for blood. And she didn't just hire him to defend herself. She went full nuclear. Countersued for harassment, defamation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Filed for restraining orders against all of them. Then she got her doctor involved. Full cognitive assessment, tests, interviews, the works. Results showed she was completely mentally competent, no signs of dementia or diminished capacity, fully capable of making her own financial decisions. Got a second opinion from another doctor just to be thorough. Both reports went to the judge along with Klein's countersuit. But Klein didn't stop there. He started digging into my parents' finances. And guess what he found? Years of forged signatures. My parents had been forging Grandma's signature on checks for years. Small amounts they thought she wouldn't notice. $200 here, $500 there. Added up to over $15,000. Grandma had noticed. She kept records, bank statements with the forged signatures highlighted. Deposits she never authorized. Withdrawals she never approved. She'd been keeping receipts the whole time, just waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, their lawsuit looked really stupid really fast. Their lawyer called Klein and tried to negotiate a quiet withdrawal. Klein told them to get screwed and filed a police report for fraud and forgery. They dropped the lawsuit within 3 days. We've decided not to pursue this matter at this time. Translation, our lawyer told us we're about to get arrested and lose everything. My dad tried damage control, got yet another new number, and texted me. We all made mistakes. Nobody needs to go to jail over family stuff. Please don't push this. I didn't respond. I hadn't pushed anything. I just stopped being their safety net, stopped covering for them. But Stephanie, she wasn't done, not even close, and what she did next made everything else look tame. 2 months after Thanksgiving, mid-January, Stephanie completely lost it. She showed up at my work, walked right into the plumbing company office looking like she hadn't slept in a week, hair a mess, makeup smeared, yoga pants stained, started yelling in front of everyone, calling me selfish, saying I ruined her life, saying Caleb had to switch to public school, saying I was a vindictive asshole. Security removed her. My boss gave me the rest of the day off, good guy. But Stephanie wasn't done. She started showing up everywhere, at the grocery store, at Lucy's school during pickup, at the park on Saturdays, watching, following, leaving notes on my truck, texting from different numbers. The notes were unhinged. You destroyed our family. Mom's having a breakdown. Caleb asks why his cousin hates him. Nothing threatening enough to act on, but creepy as hell. So I took action. After 2 weeks, I filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it immediately, 500 feet from me, Lucy, my workplace, and Lucy's school. Stephanie had to stand there in court. Didn't say a word, just stared with pure hatred. That's when she really lost it. She broke into Grandma's house. Middle of the night, early February. Grandma and Walter were at a casino 2 hours away. Stephanie didn't know that. Smashed a back window, climbed through, started tearing the place apart looking for paperwork, bank statements, Grandma's will, anything to prove manipulation or incompetence. What she didn't know, Walter had installed HD cameras with audio after her first visit. Every second was recorded. Police got the security alert. Found Stephanie still there at 3 a.m., surrounded by torn papers and overturned furniture. She tried every excuse, had permission, door was unlocked, worried about Grandma's safety. Nothing worked. Arrested on the spot. Breaking and entering, destruction of property, vandalism, violating the restraining order. My mom's lawyer withdrew from everything that week. All of it. Just our client has decided not to pursue legal action. Translation, your daughter got arrested on camera and destroyed any credibility. Stephanie's husband filed for divorce 2 weeks later. Can't blame him. My dad tried reaching out one more time. Things have gone too far. Stephanie made a mistake. She's getting help. Can we talk like adults? I didn't respond. I hadn't made Stephanie do anything. She couldn't handle me not being their cash cow anymore, so she imploded all on her own. In March, 3 months after Thanksgiving, Grandma decided to make everything crystal clear. She called it a family meeting. She invited everyone who still talked to her, a few cousins, her brother, one aunt who'd always been cool, made Walter grill burgers, and set up folding chairs in the backyard even though it was still cold. Maybe 20 people showed up. My parents didn't come. Neither did Stephanie. Nobody expected them to. They were done, cut off, erased. Grandma stood in the middle of everyone with her wedding ring in one hand and her will in the other. Didn't waste time with pleasantries. I'm 81 years old. I've lived long enough to know who's real and who's not. I've watched some of you stay silent while my grandson and his little girl got treated like garbage. I've watched some of you enable Elaine and Gerald's nonsense for years, and I've watched some of you actually give a damn. She held up the will. Everything I have goes to my grandson and Lucy. The house, the money, the property in Colorado I bought in 1982, all of it. If you stayed silent when they needed you, you're getting nothing. If you enabled the people who hurt them, you're getting nothing. I don't care if you're blood. Blood doesn't mean shit if you act like strangers. Nobody argued. Nobody looked surprised. I think everyone knew by then that the family was split in two, the ones who helped bury the knife and the one they tried to bleed dry. Some of the cousins actually apologized. Said they didn't realize how bad things were, said they should have spoken up. I appreciated it. But I also knew they'd chosen their side when it mattered. Too late now. After the meeting ended, my dad sent one final message from God knows whose phone. If this is how it's going to be, then we're done. Don't come around when she dies. Don't show up pretending you care. You made your choice. Then he blocked me. My mom blocked me. Stephanie blocked me from jail, which was honestly impressive. Just like that. No warning. No final confrontation. No dramatic scene. Just a notification on my phone, this contact is no longer available. Then another, then another. They actually thought blocking me was some kind of power move. Like I was supposed to be devastated. Like I'd beg them to come back. But I was already gone. I'd let go long before they hit that block button. They just didn't realize it. 6 months after Thanksgiving, things finally settled into peace. Lucy and I moved into the house completely, painted her room purple with gold stars, got her a dog, a rescue mutt named Charlie, set up a workshop in the garage, started taking on side jobs, thinking about starting my own plumbing business eventually. Lucy's grades went up. She made friends, started playing soccer, came home one day and said she was the fastest kid in gym class. I realized I hadn't seen her smile that big in years. Grandma's thriving, got new glasses, joined a third book club, goes to town meetings to argue with the planning commission, bought Lucy a telescope for her birthday. Walter built a treehouse in the backyard. Me? I stopped apologizing for surviving. Put a nice TV in the living room, got actual furniture, started cooking real dinners, took Lucy to the movies without calculating whether we could afford popcorn, bought her new shoes when she needed them. I wasn't just getting by anymore, I was living. People still ask sometimes, what happened with your family? I just say they left. It's simpler than explaining. They left and I stayed. That's the difference. But about 3 weeks ago, I ran into Stephanie. Wasn't planning on it. Was at the grocery store with Lucy Saturday morning, grabbing stuff for the week. Saw her in the checkout line next to ours. She looked rough, hair pulled back in a greasy ponytail, no makeup, discount store clothes, cart full of generic brands, and marked down meat. She saw me at the same time. For a second, we just stared at each other. Lucy was distracted looking at candy, didn't notice. Stephanie walked over. I could see her hands shaking. Can we talk, please? I didn't say anything. Just looked at her. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry about everything. About Caleb. About what I said. About the house. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. I lost everything. Dave took Caleb. I'm living in a studio. I can barely afford groceries. Mom and Dad won't help me. Grandma won't talk to me. I have nobody. Still didn't say anything. Please, I'm your sister. I know I messed up, but I need help. Just something. Alone. Maybe you could talk to Grandma for me. I just need... Nope. She blinked like she didn't understand. What? I said no. But I'm family. You're nothing. I kept my voice flat. Calm. You spent years treating Heather like trash. You taught your kid to call my daughter the loser's kid. You laughed when she was humiliated. You stalked us. You broke into Grandma's house. You made your choices. Now live with them. Her face crumpled, started crying right there in the grocery store. I was angry. I wasn't thinking straight. You knew exactly what you were doing. I grabbed my cart, started pushing past her. Lose my number. And if I see you near Lucy again, I'm calling the cops. Restraining orders still active. Wait. I didn't wait. Just kept walking. Lucy caught up, asked who that was. I told her nobody important. At the register, I could see Stephanie still standing there in the next aisle over, just watching us, crying, cart abandoned, looking like her whole world had caved in. And honestly, I felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, no anger, just nothing. She wanted me to save her like I always did. Wanted me to be the good brother who bails everyone out. Wanted me to forget everything and just help because that's what family does. But I wasn't that guy anymore. Lucy came home from school yesterday and told me she made a new friend. Kid invited her to a birthday party next weekend. She asked if we could afford a present. I told her, yeah, we can afford whatever she wants. The look on her face like she couldn't believe it. That's when it hit me. For the first time, my daughter wasn't worried about money, wasn't carrying the weight of dysfunction on her shoulders. She was just a kid going to birthday parties, playing with her dog, doing kid stuff. That's the win. She's not the loser's kid. She's Lucy, and she's got a dad who'd burn every bridge to keep her safe. They didn't understand that. They thought I needed them more than I needed my daughter's peace. They were wrong. It's been a full year since that Thanksgiving. Lucy's 8 now, straight A's, made the travel soccer team, solid group of friends, doesn't ask about my parents anymore. She moved on. Grandma turned 82. She and Walter took a road trip to Montana. They're talking about buying an RV. I believe they'll do it. My parents lost their house in May. Foreclosure. They're renting now. Dad's working part-time at a hardware store. Mom blames me for everything. I don't think about them. Stephanie got out of jail after 4 months. Her ex has full custody of Caleb. She sees him every other weekend, supervised. She's working retail somewhere. Hasn't contacted me. And me? I'm good. Took Lucy to Disney World last month. First real vacation we've ever had. She cried happy tears when she saw the castle. I'm not angry anymore, not bitter. I don't think about what they did or took. I just live, build my business, raise my kid, watch Lucy grow up knowing she's loved and safe and enough.